Hello, Birchwood community. This week, the first graders learned about the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
We would like to share some of the important moments of Dr. King's life with you.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. Martin had an older sister and a younger brother. Martin and his sister and brother would hear Bible stories from their grandmother and read from the Bible with their father.
Martin became friends with a white boy whose father owned a business across the street from his family's home. The parents of the white boy stopped allowing Martin to play with their son and said to him, "We are white, you are colored." Martin was very sad and confused. When he told his parents what had happened, they talked to Martin about the history of slavery and racism in America, but told Martin it was his duty to love everyone.
Martin worked very hard in school and graduated high school at age 16. At the age of 17, Martin made a decision to become a minister like his father. He gave his first sermon at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Many people came to hear this powerful new preacher. His first sermon was a tremendous success. Martin Luther King Jr. was ordained in February of 1948. Martin decided he wanted to learn more about being a minister. Martin chose to go north to Crowther Seminary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he would be treated more equally. Martin enjoyed being with students of all different religious backgrounds and didn't feel left out.
Martin studied so hard that he was elected class president and given money to go to another college and earn his doctorate in religion. Martin went to Boston, Massachusetts to study at Boston University.
Boston is also where he met his wife, Coretta Scott. The two were married in 1953 in her family's yard in Alabama, and after much discussion, Martin accepted a job as the pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama.
On March 2nd, 1955, a 15-year-old girl named Claudette Colvin was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a crowded bus to a white woman. While being taken off the bus, she shouted, "It's my constitutional right." In April 1955, Aurelia Brother was arrested for refusing to give up her seat.
In October 1955, Susie McDonald and Mary Louise Smith were arrested for refusing to give up their seats. On December 1st, 1955, civil rights activist Rosa Parks got on the bus to go home after a long day's work. She was tired of the way African Americans were being treated. She felt determined to do something about it.
She sat on the aisle seat in the middle of the bus, sharing the same row with 3 other African American passengers, but the bus continued to fill, and then a white man got on the bus but did not have a place to sit. The bus driver told the four of them, "You folks, I want those seats." The other three moved, but not Rosa Parks. The driver demanded she move, but she responded with a no. The driver told her she would be arrested. Rosa said, "You may do that." African American community in Montgomery decided to boycott segregation on buses. African Americans and others would no longer ride the bus until the unfair laws were changed. The community needed someone to help lead the boycott, and Dr. Martin Luther King decided to help. The bus boycott began on Monday, December 5th, 1955. The people who usually filled the bus were now seen walking along the sidewalks or filling up cars to get to work. The boycott lasted over a year. Calvin, Brown, McDonald, and Smith challenged bus segregation in court. They were successful. The Supreme Court ruled segregation on buses in Montgomery was against U.S. Constitution. The boycott has been a success. Dr. King became a national figure in the civil rights movement.
In 1957, Dr. King helped organize the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The purpose was to conduct the nonviolent protests in the name of the civil rights reform. Dr. King gave numerous speeches, participated in many of the nonviolent protests, led many marches, and even went to jail for the fight of the civil rights.
In 1963, Dr. King and other civil rights leaders led the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The march had several goals. Number 1, an end to racial segregation in public schools. Number 2, civil rights laws that would protect the rights of African Americans. Number 3, a $2 minimum wage for all workers. At the march, Dr. King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. He said, "I have a dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers." The march was a success. In 1964, Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in the civil rights movement. At the time, he was the youngest person to receive the award. In 1964, Dr. King saw the passage of the Civil Rights Act, which ended legal segregation. In 1965, Dr. King saw the passage of the Voting Rights Act, which protected African American voters. Sadly, in 1968, Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. He rests in Atlanta, Georgia, near his boyhood home and the Ebenezer Baptist Church. Dr. King's wife, Coretta, his friends, followers, and others continue his fight for civil rights. In 1983, President Reagan signed a bill designating a federal holiday honoring Martin Luther King Jr. In 2011, Dr. King was memorialized in Washington, D.C. Dr. King is the first African American honored with a memorial on the National Mall and only the fourth non-president to be memorialized in this special way. Dr. King's monument reads, "Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope."
Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to the nonviolent struggle for civil rights in the United States.
Dr. King's leadership played a great role in ending segregation for African Americans and the creation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
He is an American icon and a symbol of hope, freedom, and truth.